This is Michael McKeon, aka Morris Fletcher, aka Chuck McGill. You know who I am. But it's time for Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent.
You're watching Inside the Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Brought to you by the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. For all your favorite characters from the Gilliverse, shop the Royal Baubles Collection at bobbleheads.com. Also brought to you by Rode Microphones, the official microphone supplier of Inside the Gilliverse. See their entire lineup today at Rode.com. Now please welcome your host, Eric Broadbent.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for Season 3, Episode 11 of Inside Gilliverse, talking all things Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. My name is Eric Broadbent, and it comes with extreme pleasure to welcome back two fan-favorite returning guests, Julianne Emery and Jeremy Shamos, a.k.a. Betsy and Craig Kettleman. And I'm not just talking about them. I do have them here. Yes, I do. I'm going to bring them on the screen right now. Let's jump over to them, Julianne and Jeremy. Welcome back, my friends. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. Very, very good. How are you?
Fantastic. It's good to see you guys. We were just talking off the air how it just seems like it's been forever, and it feels like forever and not so much as well too. We're right in the middle of all the craziness that we all know about, and we're slowly getting back to normal. How's things in both of your lives right now? Is it feeling a little bit more normal?
I mean, COVID regulations are still really tight on set, so it doesn't feel all that different to me when you're working right now, Jeremy, too. It doesn't feel crazy different. Like, it still takes the same amount of things to shut down a set, and it's still, the protocols are still similar. The testing's shifted a little bit, but it does not, in our work world, it does not feel like everything has opened up, which is,
well, better safe than sorry, but how
not
about
a bad thing? Yeah, for sure, right?
How about so outside of work? Is it are you guys each independently and the family's taking in some events? Are you doing any kind of vacationing, a little bit of that kind of normalcy, or no?
We went on a little vacation, and we've flown on planes, and we take the subway, and we're out and about.
Yeah,
we're out in the boot.
In boot, as we say up here in Canada.
That's correct. But yeah, like Julianne said, I think at work, I mean, I get tested almost every day, so it's feels like the height of the pandemic, and people still get it. So it's it's still happening, but it's definitely not as scary as it was when it was first year in New York.
I was just going to say that I'm not scared anymore that my loved ones are going to die if they get it. I'm not. Yeah. So maybe we're slowly transitioning out, but actors getting COVID shuts down a set. So there's a responsibility level there.
Yeah.
When you're the person on set who takes your mask off in front of everybody to, I don't know, behave a little differently when you're working than maybe when you're not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. No, I get it. It's better safe than sorry for sure. It is. It's. I get what you're saying, Julianne, as well too. It's just not as fearful. Like, trust me, I'm still very, very fearful of. Well, I'm not fearful. I'm very cautious. I'm doing a lot of masks here and there, stuff like that as well too, especially in large events. But it's feeling good. So we'll jump away from that segment and we'll talk about some more happy things. I like a lot of people are very happy to have seen you guys making your appearance back in this final season, and pretty much quick off the hop as well too. And I'd like to know, we'll start with either whoever wants to field this one first, but what was it like finding out that the Kettlemans would be making their return? And when did you find out about that, and what did it feel like getting the news that you'd be reprising those roles?
We found out the last time we were preparing to do your show.
Really?
Well, because we had to be in character.
Yeah.
And so Tom reached out way on the down low, super duper on the down low, because we were improvising the whole time. So there were areas that would have been bad had we tread into them. So we had a little preparation, but that's when we first heard the little inkling that we might be coming back.
Yeah, a little heads up.
Wow. So Jeremy, what were your thoughts when you kind of heard about that? Were you kind of like, yes,
Well, for sure. I mean, Julianne's been in good, really nice touch with the writers and with the whole team, and always kind of keeping me a little bit in the loop about the fact that they always say that they want to have the Kettlemans back, and that they're, characters that they love, and they're trying to, but they have, the Gilliverse, they have so much integrity that they don't just like do stuff without really thinking it through. So we sort of knew that there was a possibility, but that it would have to be kind of, threading a needle with the timeline, and somehow making it so that it was a real thing and not just sort of a random paste in.
Yeah, they wanted to make sense with Saul's story, and then they also really wanted Mr. Kettleman to be out of jail. Were the two biggies, yeah.
For sure.
So I think we knew that it was a possibility, and then when Tom said that, we knew it was more of a possibility. But even then, I think we were sort of like, you never know with this stuff. So when we found out that it was really happening, it was really exciting. We texted each other, and it's great to be the Kettlemans. Yeah. Any chance we get.
Yes.
Well, I agree too. Having the two of you together as opposed to Craig in jail, is great. The dynamic, because you have to be in the same scenes together, the same room, to have that, that fire and ice, or whatever the case may be, however you want to describe it. It just
Who's
works.
The fire? Who's the ice?
You're the fire, honey.
Oh, I feel it.
I don't think, I gotta be honest with you, I have a very hard time. I've said this in interviews a couple times before, like, usually like the pocket for a character is like this wide. The pocket for Betsy is about this wide.
Yeah.
And I have a very hard time locating her until I am with Jeremy. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done had they tried to do anything with Betsy sans Craig, like with him in jail. So it was always very difficult for me until the two of us were together, sort of with that nonverbal communication going on and the behavior and stuff.
Well, I think it's a lot like your partners in real life. I mean, you kind of feel that loss when you're not with them, right? It's just like something feels, what's wrong here today? Oh, I'm away from my partner, right? And that because this is your on-screen partner who you spend a lot of time with, and it's just not. It's a weird thing to describe. You just know it when you know it.
Yeah.
I mean, also, Mrs. Kettleman is bossy because she's bossy. She bosses him around, and he's like subservient because he listens to her. So in other contexts, they might not be as much that way, so the Kettlemans that we know,
who are
and
they
love,
minus each other is the question, right?
Yeah.
We never had to find
Craig's
that
not
out.
allowed to go out without her, but
I'm going to the
yeah, I don't know.
Not even to the grocery store. Not even to the grocery store.
Not even to the grocery store.
Yeah, they're very codependent as a couple. They're almost one. Right?
Yeah.
They move through the world as one.
Codependent is the perfect way to describe it, for sure. That's a great analogy. We've got good questions coming in already from our super chat and our live audience here as well too. So here is a question from our member Guy Incognito. He says, "Hi, Team Kettlemans. What Kettleman quirks and qualities did you work out beforehand, and what did you discover while shooting?" And either one can take that question first.
Jeremy, do you want to?
Well, I think both. I think the writing itself had a lot of the, the teamwork and sort of the high level of denial. But I think, like we were just saying, I think we found a lot more of the dynamic when we were doing it. I mean, one thing is that we were allowed to overlap, and I think that kind of overlapping and finishing each other's sentences sort of happened spontaneously, and Vince encouraged it, and then just like the clothes, the glasses, the circumstance, I don't know, it all kind of came. I don't know, what do you think, Julie?
We did. I mean, well, I think it helped a lot that we rehearsed ahead of time. We were talking a lot about the original creation of this on the Insider podcast for the American Greed segment. And I think the fact that, Bob likes to rehearse, he's always organizing rehearsals for scenes. Jeremy and I would get together and talk through who the characters were, because we didn't even know if they were actually guilty or not when we started shooting episode 1. We had to ask that question. So there was a lot. There was so much unknown there. And and believe it or not, the Kettlemans are such out there specific characters, but we did find a lot of we found a lot of inspiration in real people. Like if you put something up on YouTube, some actor's going to use it, man. I mean, we did send each other sort of examples of what we thought we were talking about. We also I didn't think I was right for Betsy when I was cast. When I auditioned, I was shocked, and we didn't really quite know what they wanted from them, and I don't think they had fully explored who the Kettlemans were, except their function in being a foil between Howard, Hamlin, and Jimmy, right? So, Jeremy and I both we had both self-taped from New York, and we sat down and watched our tapes together. Which I've never done with another actor. It was really scary. But I think that helped a lot because we saw sort of where we, in a Midwestern-y, I guess, Flanders kind of way, ultimately kind of lined up together. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. It was the most collaborative creation of a character I've had in a long, long time since I did theater. Like, and that I would include Peter, who wrote the first episode of the Kettlemans, and also Vince in that because he directed that very first episode in season 1. I don't, especially on television, it's just television shoots so fast and there's so much to get through in a day. But we really did explore them and sort of try to work out who they were even while we were shooting. And that was really extraordinary to me. I feel like it was a full-on team effort. And we did bring a lot. We did decide a lot in our little rehearsals together. We did bring a lot of that behavior together. The finishing each other's sentences and jumping in on things, I think, was a big key for us. I think you're right, Jeremy. And the idea that we had rehearsed what we were going to say in the car was a big key as well. Yeah, that we had practiced,
Well, I like
that evolves. They learn new words. Like in season 6, we've learned some legal words now. And we like to throw those around very deliberately, Yeah.
Discovery.
Discovery.
Yeah,
I love when you said discovery.
That's right.
And there's so much
Exonerated.
pride. You had so much pride when you said that as well, too. The character said it. You know what I mean? It's like discovery, and But the finishing each other's sentences. I remember when you both came on. It was so fun when you actually came on in character. And I have to apologize to our viewers at the time because I had an internet hookup that day, so we had great audio, but we had a lot of freezing video. But it's one of those things that you guys probably saw me because you can see a different camera angle. What the audience is seeing right now. I was kind of like, I was panicking because you guys were freezing. I was like, it's a live show. I can't do anything about it. Just go through it. And everything was good. But what I'm trying to get to is the fact that you guys had planned that. And apparently now you'd heard from Tom around that same time as well, too, that you'd be in season 6. But it was such a great thing. It was like, I think we did a full hour and you were in character the whole time and didn't miss a beat. And it was just fantastic. And one of the things I loved about, and I've talked about this on multiple shows since you've been on, is how it was in the time of COVID. And you're separated by COVID, so Craig is in the basement. You're upstairs. You're like, "Hey, Craig," and you're actually shouting downstairs. It pulled off really well.
We may have even overthought the situation, but we did work really hard on it. Actually,
okay, it was good.
Well, and because we knew we might be coming back. Yeah, we had like areas that we couldn't, move into for the improv, and we did actually. I know it seems like when people improvise, they don't prep anything, but we did prepare a lot.
I forgot that we did. That was a funny idea.
Oh yeah, and topic because you've got the beard growing back again now a little bit, and you were Betsy was talking to Craig like I don't really like the stubble on the face. It doesn't feel good on my face, and that's jail. It's so funny. I shared it on Facebook the other day just in preparation for tonight's episode. It was really funny. And that was other than in the picnic, which we'll talk about in a little bit tonight as well too. But that's one of the first times that the world had seen the Kettlemans post Better Call Saul. So it was
a while. Yeah, and didn't you name your guy that you were sharing a cell with ox shit or something? Like, didn't you curse? Didn't that happen? Wasn't that on this show? Wasn't that on this show? It was.
I think so.
My jailmate.
Yeah.
My roommate in jail.
Yeah. I couldn't believe. I was like, did that just happen? Yeah. That was not prepared.
and how do you not lose it too, right? When you get like that takes some training too, just to not lose your composure, I'm
like, Julie's brain is going, did he just call him ox shit? And Betsy's going, honey, we shouldn't curse. Like, I mean, it was just
Yeah.
I want to watch that again.
That was so funny, Jeremy.
And the Gilliverse with a K. No, it's a G, like Gilligan's Island. Remember? Yeah.
Right.
That was good. And it was all coming down to something nefarious. So you guys were going to research that to make sure it was okay before you really did the live show. But we've got some more really fun questions coming in. And I'm glad you mentioned American Greed. And I haven't seen or heard the latest episode of the Insider Podcast. I know you guys just did that. So I want to go listen to that one. I love what Chris is doing and the team over there. But this is similar. And this is from our moderator, Jen Stevens. She says, how was it to film the American Greed segment and what was involved?
Well, it was awesome because we thought we had said, goodbye to the Kettlemans. Season 6 was completely finished shooting at that point. It was great, except we shot it fully with the American Greed crew and directors. Valerie Chu, from the Better Call Saul, writer's room, wrote the script, but otherwise we were just with the American Greed people, and our episode had not come out yet, so we kept like going in the corner and like being like, we can't say this and we can't say that, like, because it was a little complicated. And there are Easter eggs if you haven't seen that American Greed episode. The Sweet Liberty Tax Services mugs are in it. There are things that we're wearing wardrobe from that episode. Like, there are things in it that if you've seen the episode, you're like, oh yeah, that's that. But it came out prior to season 6 happening. So it was a little tricky. Trickyville, right, honey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fun because it was the American Greed people. They, make American Greed. So they're used to making documentaries and interviewing real people. And Valerie had written a script. So we had memorized lines, but we were in a situation, and the way that they film it and everything was as if we were real people. So it was fun for us because, we like doing that, and, like coming on this show and improvising. And so this was like sort of up our alley. And, and Vince and Peter, they trusted the American Greed people to just make an episode of American Greed. And so we were with their crew, we were shooting the way that they shoot, and it was really fun. It was a short afternoon, and it was too short because it was fun.
So much fun
doing it. Yeah. But
if
amazing what they did. I think it's incredible what they made.
I agree. And there's a lot of interest, especially in the last half of that bonus episode of the Insider Podcast. There's a lot of talk about the making of it and where they went to film people and the lengths that they went to, and what the things that they came up with that weren't necessarily in the script were really incredible.
All the visual things that they did, and all the
Yeah, they were very
drawings,
dedicated
and
to it.
they did.
And Vince is a massive American Greed fan. Like, who knew?
There you go.
On the one hand, who knew? But then when we got approached about doing it, I was like, oh, I should watch. I started, going down a rabbit hole, watching a bunch of episodes of it, and I was like, of course, Vince is a big fan of American Greed.
Yeah, you could probably see it after you saw a few episodes. Yeah. Something I must say, like, for people that want to get into interviewing people, I really enjoy doing this. I get to talk to wonderful people like you guys. But one of the toughest challenges I found doing what I do just with this small YouTube channel is interviewing characters. I've only done this 3 times. So with you guys as the couple of Betsy and Craig, I've done it with Derek Smalls from Spinal Tap, Harry Shearer, obviously Michael McKean alumni, and another lady that went by I forget her name now, but she's Mrs. Smith, the cat lady. It's a man that dresses up as a woman, and a phenomenal guitar player dresses up as a woman. And in the first couple times I was interviewing guests that were in character, I didn't know they were going to be in character, so I had written questions for the person, and then you got to flip your script. And even with you guys, there are so many times I was like, I almost broke that, and you guys didn't break character at all. So I was like, I was going to ask Julie a question or Jeremy a question. I was like, no, they're not here. They don't exist. Right? That's tough. Yeah. That's tough.
You just literally described acting.
Yeah.
Like you just except we have a script. Jeremy and I, the whole Kettleman improv thing started because the Kettlemans it's so hard to find the pocket for them. Like, in anything outside of the pocket is just bad actorville. And we would, behavior or improv our way into and then out of scenes, and or even in between things. And it was originally just a tool for us to help sort of locate ourselves and find, I don't know, where we sort of needed to be.
But in that first episode, I feel like Vince also encouraged us to keep doing it. And they, I don't remember if it was the first episode, maybe it's not, but Jimmy walks away from us and goes to the bathroom and we talk. I guess it's when he says he's into elder law.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of like, you guys can just talk about whatever. And,
well, they know that. I mean, they always have editing power. And I would say 99% of what winds up on screen on Better Call Saul is very rightly straight from the writer's room. But
100%. Yeah.
Every now and then we have little nuggets that sneak through that.
But like you said, it also just keeps everything going for us. And
yeah. I just thought it was a nice tool, especially early on when it was so hard to sort of find where they were going to live.
And then when we did the commentary for the DVD.
Yes, we did. We did a full, for the Blu-ray, I think it might be up on YouTube now. I think someone's ripped it and put it on YouTube now.
Oh, really?
But but we did we got a phone call after season 1 was up one day asking if we wanted to do commentary for episode 7, which was our biggest episode in season 1, in character as the Kettlemans. And that was the only edict. Like, I was like, well, what are the rules? Is it after? Is he in jail? What's happened? They're like, I don't know, whatever you think. Like, I mean, it was
unclear whether we were watching ourselves or watching a TV show or
yeah,
it was very unclear,
so
but we just
kind of made it up.
Kettlemans.
Yeah, we did get together for that too. I went to see Jeremy in a play at Playwrights Horizons in New York, and we went to a diner, and I put the episode on my iPad, and we each had an earbud in, and I'm like, we should at least figure out if we have anything to say here.
Yeah.
That was the night before we did it, and then we sat down in a sound studio in New York and improvised for 45 minutes straight while we watched ourselves and others. While we watched Mike break into our house. And
right.
it was like a fever dream. I didn't even remember most of what we said. Yeah. I had no.
I've never listened to it, but now I'm going to.
There you go.
I'm pretty sure it's up on YouTube.
I'll bet you. Yeah. Everything tends to find its way up there.
Somebody tag Jeremy on Twitter and send the link on YouTube.
That'd be great. Do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, thinking about that for one of the first episodes there as well too, you're seeing Nacho break into your home, and it's
it was Mike.
Well, Mike, yeah. Well, I mean, sorry, I know, but
Nacho
he was going to scouting it out, whatever, and
right. Nacho was the one watching us in the van.
Yeah. Case into place. But I guess what my point was going there was the fact that it's kind of surreal now to see where we are and see. We'll talk about possibly some other deaths here in the evening, but it was sad to see his character go.
It was, but he was so well done. Michael just delivered such a gorgeous performance, and it was so beautifully directed, and it shocked me. Like I think I had, before I saw it, I had read something online because I didn't see it that night, and so I even kind of knew it was happening, and I still was like, like I audibly, gasped and shrank into my sofa. Yeah.
How about you, Jeremy? Did it kind of hit you in a similar way?
Oh yeah. I mean, I love that character, and I loved his performance, and I don't know, just that last episode was totally beautiful, and the way they handled that at the end was so.
Yeah.
Michael has a great gift for nonverbal. Like I keep remembering in that I think it was his first episode ever in season 1, when he's like all shackled in the interview room with Jimmy, and they have this conversation, and then suddenly he's like, and the chains make a big sound, and he's so good at inner monologue, at the thought, at you understanding what's going on in his head, with zero amounts of dialogue, and they really played into that on those on all 3 of those first episodes of season 6.
For sure,
really utilized that well. Yeah.
Just like Lewis and Danny, who were on the show last week with Tom, the Mankatas. I mean, they barely speak 5 lines in the entire Gilliverse, and yet it's so powerful. So sometimes the non-spoken word can be very, very powerful. right?
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just the mannerisms and whatnot. So,
Well, and Better Call Saul utilizes visuals incredibly well to
And-
begin with.
yeah.
So if an actor can kind of meet that with some nonverbal communication, it's just becomes super powerful and effective.
yeah. And the music too, complementing what you're feeling. I mean, it makes you feel a certain way, and that can affect you in different ways, but it does make you feel something, you know, good, bad, or anywhere in between. Yeah, for sure. Here's a good question, really good question from one of our members. The Veil is asking, what do you guys think the Kettleman situation is in the gene timeline of Better Call Saul? That's a very good question.
Very good question.
Would you like to take that, Jeremy? I don't.
Wow, that's a very good question. I'm sure that they have some kind of business.
Yeah, I'm positive Kim did not fully shut them down.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Or
moved.
If
Maybe
they shut that down, then they did it somewhere else. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I think that seemed to be a decent business, and I'm trained for it. And we have a great front of house person. So I think I think that's a good business model. And maybe we moved. I mean, I could imagine us just continuing to.
I could imagine us moving and changing our names because of that ugly business, because of, you know, all of the, we'd never get rid of those nefarious that awful woman with the ponytail, all of those horrible people. We couldn't get rid of them. So I could imagine us moving and changing our names.
Yeah, maybe we moved where our kids are when we have grandkids by then.
Okay.
We kind of made up a thing before your show last time about the kids hating us. Like the kids grew up.
Oh yeah, the kids hate us.
What do they do that when they depatronize or parent? What's a word when you I forget the word. There's a word.
Oh, right, when you divorce your parents.
Yeah.
And you go to yeah.
Oh, I forget the term.
Know.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
You like legally disconnect yourself from your parents. I
Yeah.
could see that happening.
I could see that.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I could, two things I'll say. One, because I almost slipped my mind when you said nefarious. I don't think there's a person on this planet that says nefarious the way you do. I think that's phenomenal the way you say it. It's just funny in context.
That's a Betsy thing.
Yes, for sure. And number two, I could almost see you guys, when I say you guys, Betsy and Craig, owning a franchise of tax firm. I think you'd be the next big.
Dream big, man.
Yeah.
Nothing if not dreaming big, right?
I don't know if we think that big or we plan that big. I mean,
Well,
Betsy
honey, yeah, maybe not Mr. does. I think she does for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, they can pull it off.
Imagine.
I like that. Franchise is good.
Imagine if you had the Saul Goodman productions of early Better Call Saul, and he's actually, before you guys even really necessarily met, have Saul Goodman produce the commercials for the franchise of whatever it may be, right? Liberty Tax or whatever.
Peter asked me once, you know, years ago, I don't know, maybe they were into season 3 or season 4 writing, and he was like, well, what do you think they're doing? How would you bring them back? And I always said, I was like, I think they should be money launderers. You know, like Walt had, you know, when they got the car wash, they did a thing where they went to a laser tag business where Saul is like, look, if you want to launder money, it takes a lot of work because I think Walt balked. He's like, why did they get so much of my money for laundering my money? He's like, because they're running an actual business and cooking the books. And I could totally.
At the laser tag, there was a guy, I forgot his name, but he's like, the car wash doesn't have the whatever the guy's name is. Someone probably knows.
Wayne. Was it Wayne? It was something, I don't know what. Yeah, it was
but
something
we could,
like that.
Like we could be that for some.
Yeah. And then, you know, get murdered over it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I imagine, because I imagine we couldn't possibly do it without skimming off the top.
Right, exactly. Yeah, we can't launder without skimming.
I love it. Here's a good question from Courtney's review. She has a great YouTube channel, and this is for both of you. It says, love your characters. I'm curious to hear about your inspirations and references for your characters, if any. So you kind of alluded to that a little bit. You're kind of finding some different people and working it into the stew. And we'll start with you, Julianne, who you maybe you look to.
I don't know, you know, because they're real people. Okay, I'll say this. There were some things going on at the time. Now we're seeing a lot of, unfortunately, Kettleman type people walking around sort of out and proud, right? Like putting videos up on the internet and all kinds of crap. But at the time, the governor of Virginia, I think it was either Virginia or West Virginia. He and his wife were getting indicted for, like, I don't know, $500,000 in kickbacks. and they swore they were innocent. And there was a scandal in LA called the Bell County scandal. And there were a ton of NPR interviews up this entire city council, while the police department, while every city every city department went defunct, they were paying themselves $250,000 a year just to sit on the city council. And they got indicted, and even from jail, they swore they did nothing wrong. They couldn't see how it was either legally or morally wrong. And that was, I think, for me, really insightful and fascinating. Like, people who really, really believe that they have done nothing wrong, even though they so clearly have. So there's a delusion there where I think there's two things. I think there are people who really believe they can speak their world. So if they say it's not true, then it's not true. And then there's also this deep delusion that you can't admit to yourself you did something. Of course you did nothing wrong. Like, you can't, I mean, nobody thinks they're a bad guy, right? Like,
of course.
When you play bad, I've played several villains at this point, and when you play a villain, nobody thinks they're the villain, right? Even in James Bond, they always think they're saving the world or showing the world the way. Or even Anakin Skywalker believes in a dictatorship because he thinks that's the way for peace, right? Nobody actually thinks they're bad. There were some real people that we've not ever shared that I hesitate to, because
no,
they're
it's
real
okay.
people.
I get it.
There's some real people that I don't think I would share. I don't know, Jeremy, how do you feel about that?
Like the documentary that we watched?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we've never outed that ever. It was so good. It was and it was you that came up with it. You sent it to me.
Yeah.
But it was so perfect. But I've never outed that before. I don't know.
No. It was more like people's personality. They aren't criminals or anything like that. It was just
it was more their dynamic.
That super nice.
Yeah, it was, and the dynamic,
and the dynamic,
kind of like bumbling front man, like it was the dynamic of what it was, and but you can, if I don't know, we've kept that. We've never even told Vince and Peter that.
Wow. Well, we might possibly have an exclusive, or we may not. I might be off the air tomorrow. I don't know.
It's not that they're like the Kettlemans; they're not crooks or anything, but there was a key there for us that unlocked something very, very good, I think. Yeah.
Oh, I'm interested.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny though is look at what Craig talking. Like we're talking to Jimmy and everything. It's like, well, Betsy's saying this too. Like, Craig did all this overtime and he did this and he didn't get any extra. And a lot of people. I mean, I've even been there. I think we've all been there in some ways. A little bit of that. Like, I work like 4 extra weeks. I didn't get paid. I'm taking this office chair, or whatever.
People steal office supplies. People, I mean, that's a very, look, the Kettlemans definitely blew that up, right? Like, they definitely went right past staplers. They definitely bypassed all of that. But there's such a, I feel like, I mean, we've also talked about Betsy was a Karen before we called anyone a Karen, right?
Yep.
Years before.
Yep.
And there's an entitlement factor where folks think if something is good for themselves or for their family, especially for the family, right? If I'm doing it for the family, it can't possibly be wrong. And we're in a kind of crazy moment that way. Like, I oddly think the Kettlemans stumbled into being important a couple years down the road. Like, it's an interesting, I don't know. We're in a freaky kind of crazy moment that way.
Well, when people, when a minister of like a super church or something buys really fancy clothes, and like it ends up that their clothes budget is like $300,000 a year, and it's from the church. It's like that person is never like, sorry, they're more like, I'm showing something, I'm like helping people see that, God makes me successful, or whatever it is. There's a reason.
Or they have a private jet. There's a lot of those super church pastors who have a private jet.
Right. And that just helps them to get places faster, to help people, or whatever the reasoning is. But I think I think that's part of, like, I think Betsy wanted Craig to have larger political, a larger
Oh, honey,
political
she thought you
future.
were going to be governor.
Yeah.
For sure. No question. Well,
And I think,
Betsy inside my head thought that. Like,
yes.
I don't know if the Betsy inside the writer's head thought that. But like when we pulled up to our house and I was like, oh, we have a boat? Oh, we have a boat. Oh, well, yeah, we need a boat because those fancy people that you need to get all the money from, if you're going to run for mayor and then governor, you got to take them out on your boat. Like,
Yeah.
it just happened like that. Like, we pulled up to our house the first time and there's a boat, and then it just went that way in my head. Like, yeah. I was like, oh, well, yeah, of course we have a boat. Yeah. And a lovely, nice house with a swimming pool. And
For sure.
Yeah.
And a modest station wagon.
a modest station wagon,
Yeah,
because
just lay low.
Man of the people,
back.
right?
Yeah.
Man of the people.
Right.
That's right.
About my family.
That's right. I'm gonna jump a question here for a second about. I'm gonna come right back to it. It's a very good question from Blazy Gardner, one of our regulars. She's awesome and a friend. She has a great question.
Her on Twitter.
Yeah, she's
Lovely.
great, isn't she? Yeah, she's great.
That's one of the lovely folks on Twitter.
Yes, there's a handful, and we love them for sure. And it's a good connection between Walking Dead and the Gilliverse. But I'm going to come right back to hers. But I'm going to go to our moderator, Eamon, just because we're on this sole topic of kind of stealing or embezzling or whatever. And this is a good question. He says, for both of you, there's no way the Kettlemans didn't steal anything from there's no way the Kettlemans didn't steal anything from Albuquerque, but what did you steal from the set? And we've talked about this a few times. Just the other night, Tom, of all people, even Tom has had to steal. Tom stole a pillow from an event sometime, and Lewis and Danny got they didn't get the boots, but they didn't steal. They were given to them, but they were given like the tips of the boots. But we all know
cool.
someone wants to. Hey, I'm
nice.
gonna sneak home this little prop. Have either of you brought something home with or without permission?
We did have permission, but we have the I don't have it here. We have this. We each have a Sweet Liberty coffee mug.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sweet Liberty tax mug.
Yes.
Trying
I
to
don't think
think
I have
what
anything
else.
from season 1. I don't think I have anything from season 1 at all.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I mean, sets are incredible because the props people are so amazing and the set dressers are amazing and everything is like so detailed. But it's a little scary to take stuff because you feel like they might need it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's, but the question is,
They had a
what
whole
would you
box of
steal?
those mugs.
What would you steal, Julianne, if you could have stolen something?
If I could have stolen something, what would I want? Oh, Jeremy, that's maybe
Your fox blouse. What about your fox blouse?
That was
duffel
cool.
bag.
Fox
I really
dress.
want the duffel bag. I want that duffel bag.
With the money would be great.
I would take that duffel bag.
I want the money out of it.
Yeah. And I liked the sticker on the back of Betsy's car with the family and the camping. And actually, the first season, because Better Call Saul is all under wraps, so like our trailer said like Miami and New York or whatever. It wasn't.
Right.
Everything was very under wraps, and the boards that are in the transpo vans and in all of the trucks that haul the trailers around, there are these placards that you put on the dashboard, and that's how you know what show they're part of, or and the placards for season 1 was the sticker from the back of the Kettleman's car with the tent and the hiking family. And I have one of those actually.
That's cool.
Not actually a prop. Yeah.
No, that's cool though. It's just very special, unique, one-off.
Yeah. There's
when I
cool
first got to Albuquerque, I took a cab from, I'm trying to remember if it might not have been a cab from the airport, but it might have been a cab from the hotel to when I was meeting you and Bob and Ray for dinner. Or you were in the cab with me.
I think I was with you. I think we were together, right?
Right.
When they started talking about Breaking Bad and we weren't allowed to say we were in the show. Yeah. And they were like, they film Breaking Bad around here. And then they offered to take us on.
And then they were like, there's the car wash.
We're like, oh, wow. And then like, oh, we could go in a roundabout. They offered to take us on a sightseeing tour of, and Jeremy, they said, oh, well, what are you guys here for? What do you do? And what did you tell them? We were accountants or something? No, what did you tell them?
I don't remember. I had a good something.
I know.
Little did they know we were going to meet Saul Goodman.
I'm playing Betsy. You think I would lie so easily, but you lie. You just came up with it, and I was like, "Oh, that's good." You're like, "We're here for a conference." You chose like the most boring possible thing.
So he wouldn't.
Because we're both dying, and we're on our way to meet Bob Odenkirk. Like I mean, you know what I mean? Like it was. It
would have been great if Bob was waiting outside for us, but.
Yeah, that would have been phenomenal. Yeah, we're here for an Amway convention, and then there's Bob Odenkirk or
And
something,
then
you know?
like Saul's like, hey
Yeah.
guys.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. But Albuquerque folks are very proud that this show shoots there. They're very
sure.
proud of their Breaking Bad
For sure.
and Better Call Saul. I think they're proud that it's set there. There's a lot that shoots in Albuquerque now, but not a lot of it is actually set in Albuquerque.
Didn't I just started watching the final, not the final, but is Stranger Things? Is season 4? Is that gonna be the end of it? Do you know?
I have no idea.
But I think isn't some of it shot now in Albuquerque, if I'm not mistaken?
I don't probably. Well,
Oh,
Netflix
maybe,
just
'cause
bought
Netflix-
out the studio there.
They're building a huge studio there.
Yeah.
Yes, they just bought the studio. They just bought the studio there and like 300 extra acres, so that wouldn't be surprising at all.
Yeah, maybe one of
Yeah.
our fans can comment. Karina will probably know for sure too. And a lot of our friends and followers of the show here too. They live in Albuquerque, and a lot of them have done extras and stuff in the show.
Oh,
So
fun.
yes, and possibly even
Fun,
some of your
fun.
episodes. So that's very cool. So we'll jump back now to Blazy Gardner's question, and then I'm going to circle over to some audio questions, and we'll come back to more. These are really good questions tonight, everyone, and we'll keep them coming for sure. And so there's always been a fun little theory about Breaking Bad leading into The Walking Dead, and I was a huge Walking Dead fan for many years as well too. So she's
I
asking.
didn't know about this. I didn't know this.
Neither did I.
But continue, please. I'm fascinated.
No problem. She says there are theories connecting the Better Call. Oh, it jumped on me. Just 1 second. Sorry, it just jumped really quick. There are theories connecting the Better Call Saul and Walking Dead universe. So how would Betsy and Craig do in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, Betsy's alive and running some kind of camp and charging people for it. I mean,
I could
Right?
see that.
Betsy's running. What is it? I can't remember what season it was. There was a season where there was this utopia kind of Walking Dead place where they got put in a train car. The train car thing came back.
Terminus.
Yeah, thank you, Terminus.
Yeah.
Betsy would be running somewhere like Terminus. She'd be like, "Everything's great here, isn't it pretty? He has to die." Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, Craig, how would you fare? How would Craig fare in that?
I think Craig would pretty much be a zombie pretty quick.
you would relate to the zombie and want to like make friends or something.
I would think, I would go out to try to help someone, and
I mean, maybe Betsy could keep you alive for a while.
that's true.
I think she
If you
would
like-
remove the gums, the teeth. You take the teeth out so you couldn't bite her, and she'd just keep you around, and you'd just be
Oh, you
agreeing.
mean as a zombie? Oh,
Yep.
that's sweet.
Yep, and you just agree to everything like Craig always does.
That's a good idea.
Yes, dear, nodding your head. Yeah, maybe a little bit of grunt here and there. And
A Craig zombie.
yeah, so that was a very good question. So we will now jump over to the audio questions. We have 3 that are sent in from voicemail, and we have our first one here is from Karina, our co-executive producer. She always has great questions, and I forget if this is to both of you or individually, so let's find out right now.
Hi, Julie and Jeremy. Welcome back. This is Karina. My question for both of you is, where do you see Craig and Betsy when they are elderly? Still grifting or running scams? Assuming they're not in jail, that is.
Good one.
Jeremy,
Yes, I think running scams for sure.
in the old folks' home, right?
Maybe in an old
maybe
folks'
we'd be
home.
running scams in the old folks' home, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Some
they
kind of
all got
bingo- some
jewelry.
kind of
at least
bingo
jewelry
scam.
still. Yeah, sure, 100%.
It's once a grifter, always a grifter. I would say it's probably hard for us to let it go. You see opportunities, not grifting, but you know what I mean. Just opportunities to move forward,
Yes, to better ourselves
to better ourselves.
and our situation, right?
I wonder if we didn't even know. Maybe we don't know this. Maybe Betsy and Craig are behind the overcharging in Sandpiper. Maybe they're kind of working behind the scenes in that and overcharging for Jello and paper.
I mean,
and
that wouldn't be them in their old age. That would be like a world they could move into, running a bunch of like.
Yeah,
scammy
if it
old
turned
folks'
out that
homes.
we cooked their books for them, that seems possible.
Yeah,
There you
that
go.
does seem entirely possible. Yes.
Good one. No, that was a very good question as well too.
Yes.
This one is coming from, I believe this is from Rugava. Rugava also has some great questions, and I think this is for both of you. Let's listen to what he has to ask.
Hi, Julie. Hi, Jeremy. I'm Raghava. Firstly, let me just tell you that I absolutely love every single scene you both are in. If I had to pick one favorite scene, that would be from the episode titled Carrot and Stick, where you share the screen with both Bob and Ray. My question for Julie: are you an actor who believes that rehearsals are a must before going for a shoot? Or do you believe that there's some magic going in right for the take? Question for Jeremy. I love the scene where when you talk to Cliff about Howard, you're shaking a sugar packet, which kind of reminds Cliff and the audience about the cocaine packet that fell off of Howard's locker. Was this written in the script, or was it something that you improvised?
Okay, we'll start with you, Julie.
I am an actor that believes rehearsal leads to magic. So I'm going to say both of those things. I very much like rehearsal. I've worked with and without it, both on television and in films, but I very much think that everyone kind of benefits from it. And for me, rehearsal means that the world opens up to spontaneity, which is what leads to that kind of behavioral magic that you're talking about. For me, the only way there is rehearsal. Yeah.
Okay. And for Jeremy with the sugar packet.
And that's a great question. I hadn't really thought of the cocaine packet, but the whole thing with the coffee and the sugar and stuff was Vince wanted to bring back in the
stevia.
Craig's inability to get coffee. From the one episode where I try to get coffee and my wife
Episode 7 from Loyola's Diner, what you were talking about earlier, right? Yeah.
So I was shaking it, just like getting ready to drink my coffee. I was giving myself stuff to do before I finally got to get my coffee. And then by the time I'm about to get my coffee, we're leaving, and I didn't realize that we were going to leave, and I didn't get my coffee. I did suggest that we use stevia, and Vince thought it was one too many things.
Too far. Yeah. Okay. There you go. A little too close to home. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. That's good. We have our third and final audio question, and this one's from Paul Suro. You'll recognize him with that deep, sexy voice at the start of the show. He's a voice of our show. He's actually an NHL announcer as well, too. You'll be able to tell by his voice here in a second, but here is his question.
Hello, Julianne, Jeremy. My name is Paul, and I live in Phoenix, Arizona. It is great to have both of you back on the show. I always thought that we were not done with the Kettlemans, and I was so stoked to see the reappearance of Albuquerque's first family of fraud. But my question is for Craig and Betsy, and that is, if Craig and Betsy could have a redo on the initial embezzlement scam, what might they do differently? And thanks again for coming back to Inside the Gilliverse, and of course, thank you again for coming back to Better Call Saul. Be well.
Well, first of all, Paul has a gorgeous voice.
I love Paul's voice.
He does.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. He does.
Well, I know what I would do differently, but what would you do differently, Mr. K?
Well, I would obviously first ask you what we should do differently.
Well, I would tell you we should not hire that shystery Jimmy McGill. Like he introduced us to the nasty ponytail lady, and that was the slippery slope. That was how it all went wrong for us. I mean, obviously our hidey hole was foolproof. Mm-hmm. And, everything was going fine until we hired that Jimmy McGill.
Yeah. I think we shouldn't have kept the money in our house.
Yeah. Well, but where would we keep it?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you can't just put it in a hole and bury it.
Well, just outside looking in, just from like 1,000 feet up above looking, what about maybe not stealing the money?
That's not an option. That's not an option in the world. No.
An option. Okay.
We could have hid it in the boat.
Yeah.
But then what if someone jacked the boat? What if someone, listen to me, they're throwing the lingo around. What if someone stole the boat?
The boat.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the boat had like a small toilet or a porta potty type deal, whatever, but underneath that somehow, that'd be the best place to hide it. No one would ever think to look in the boat, and especially under the
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Although I don't think it was that they found the money was the problem. I think the problem, in Betsy's mind anyway, was the lawyers who insisted on a plea deal.
Yeah. Yeah, because that means
that's
guilty.
Her sticking point.
Yeah, you don't want to be. You're not guilty. Not guilty. And look further into Better Call Saul and further seasons. I mean, they get Lalo. It gets Lalo off, or not. It doesn't get him. Doesn't get him off of it, but he gets him on bail. Right.
Well, he gets better at representing criminals. Right. He gets like Jimmy / Saul. evolves.
Yeah.
In his representation of criminal. Although even in season 1, he gets Nacho out of jail.
Yeah.
You know, so like, I mean, he didn't. He could work his magic for him, but not for us. I'm just saying, like,
if we had come upon him at this point in his career, it would have been an easy case for him. He would have known what to do with it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that was the question I was going to ask you, and later in the program.
Terrible timing on our part. We just met him at the wrong time.
Yeah, the Breaking Bad Saul Goodman would be. You guys wouldn't even see a second in the courtroom.
That's the whole thing. That's it. Our timing was off. That's all. That's all it was. Yeah.
Or we should have just found a more criminal lawyer.
That's right.
Right.
Here,
right. We weren't looking. We were looking for a lawyer that covers innocent people, and we should have been looking for a criminal lawyer.
A criminal lawyer. That's right.
Even though we were innocent, we should have found a lawyer for guilty people.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Here's a question that's already been answered, but I was going to mention it from White Wolf 496. When did you find out you're coming back for season 6? We talked about that back when Julianne and Jeremy were coming on the show in character back in season 2, I think it was. Season 1, I think it was. So a good year and a half ago. And this is a question from Louise. This is our friend Eamon's better half. If Lala was tracking you down and you were tent living, what would have been your last cooked camping meal?
Oh, goodness. That is so very specific. Do you camp, Jeremy? I camp.
I camped when I was younger, but yeah. So what's your camping go-to?
It depends on how big of a hike we're going to take. But
if Lalo's tracking us down, we're gonna have to.
We're like on the move, right?
Yeah, for a long time.
Yeah, but Betsy are the kids with us? If the kids are with us, she'd still want like a full meal. So like we have like camp potatoes we cook in a cast iron skillet on the fire, and hamburgers and stuff. Or sometimes we just go straight up for like hamburger helper or something. Like if we're on the run, maybe we want a carbo load. So we want a carb load so that we can like
spaghetti night.
Maybe spaghetti night. Yeah. Spaghetti night's probably a good idea. That's also like a one pot thing. Like you could do that quick.
Yeah. That would work. That would work.
Yeah.
But basically if Lalo's chasing you, you're in trouble.
I think so. Yeah.
He's good.
That's a guy you don't want after you. That's for sure. I don't
know if he's good so much as he's just willing to do anything.
Persistent is a key word there. Yeah. Goes over to Germany. He's back. I mean, holy cow.
He kind of gives Betsy a run for her money with no scruples, right? Like he's just willing to just whatever.
I think there's probably only 2 women in the world that could yell at him and to basically tell him whatever they want. And Kim Wexler's one, and Betsy's the other. I don't think any other woman would stand a chance.
I think he would shoot Betsy in about 5 seconds.
You think so?
I think you're probably right.
I don't think Betsy could stop herself from criticizing him, and he would just shoot her in the head.
Yeah, but Craig would come to the rescue, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
not.
Exactly.
And then he would also get shot. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Double homicide. Double homicide. Kat Hubbard is asking, did Craig ever get that cup of coffee?
I do. I drink a sip of coffee in the American Greed.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. That's good. Yes. That's good.
And as I said on the podcast, it turns out that Craig doesn't like coffee. It was my first sip ever, and I hated it. I don't know what everyone's talking about.
That's awesome. This is a question from Ursula. Who does Betsy dislike more, Saul or Kim?
Kim.
Ooh.
I could see that too. Yeah.
I mean, I think I get the opportunity. She gets the opportunity to show it to Saul more, but she just hates Kim.
Yeah.
Kim forced us to say that we were guilty, and there's no worse there's no worse crime in Betsy's head than that.
Well, look at it, the carrot and stick. I mean, proverbial, the way they launched that softball or hardball, right? And Kim came in with the stick, and Jimmy was going in pretty soft. Was going to play things a little safe.
I think Betsy still thinks that she can play Jimmy, like that she can game him, right? Like she thinks he's manipulatable. Maybe she thinks men are just more easily manipulated than women. I don't know.
Maybe. They are, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Here's a good question from Kevin Primus. Says, do you think the Kettlemans pivoted from Sweet Liberty to some other scam between their way? Real threat from Kim Wexler and their appearance on American Greed?
Well, I mean, I think that would depend on if we moved, right? Well, we've discussed that we think we probably moved. and change their names. Yeah.
I think the tax.
Do we think American Greed happened before we moved, or do we move after American Greed?
Yeah, I'm not sure where American Greed fit in.
Yeah, they would have to have tracked us down. That would be post Gene, right? That would be post Cinnabon. That would be
right.
American Greed would be post all of that, because the whole American Greed thing is, where is Jimmy McGill, right?
Right. So we didn't change our name yet because they found us to do American Greed.
Yes, that's right. Because how would they track us down? Because we're masterminds.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, they use our name on American Greed.
That's true. That's true. And we show our faces on camera.
Yeah. None of this witness relocation and
we got TV famous on American Greed. We did. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
They didn't use Paul. They didn't use Paul's voice to doctor up, Craig's voice and be a, witness relocation and a dark scene and blurred out. Yeah, that would have been perfect. But we got to see you. Here is a good question as well too from Lazy Garden. She has a second follow up one. She says, "Is if the Kettlemans had their own soundtrack, what songs would be on it?"
Do 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 do.
Love it. Yes. Yeah.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yes.
Someone on Twitter today, by the way,
maybe some like Up With People stuff. Like
right.
I feel like they're stuck in a entertainment time period that is not of their own. Like they're stuck in kind of maybe some Lawrence Welk.
Yeah, okay. Like Glenn Miller.
Yeah, some Glenn Miller. Yeah.
They like to swing dance.
Yeah. Sure.
You're bringing back my childhood here. My mom would play that stuff all the time. So
really?
I think they're stuck in a different sort of time.
Yeah, I feel like it's like Betsy doesn't like the rock and roll music.
Yeah, probably not. It leads to it
leads to drugs and
it leads to bad things. It's a bad influence on the kids. That's right.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Did either of the two of you ever foresee this fandom of the Kettlemans? Like, I mean, it's crazy.
No. Did you foresee it, Jeremy?
Yes. No. No, not at all. But I do know that they're great. I do know that they're great characters, and they're,
But we were just recurring on season 1. Like we popped in for 4 episodes of season 1.
Yeah.
And then it seemed like we were going to disappear forever. Like it just didn't. I was really surprised by all of it when season 1 came out. There was a day when Deborah Birnbaum, who used to be the feature writer at Variety, she came to visit set during the shooting for season 1, and she was at one of those, I think it was the episode 7 scene at Loyola's at the diner. She was on a set visit, and she was there to interview Bob. And she was the first one who said to the producers, she's like, "Who are those people?" And I think that was the first inkling on the show that they're like, this might be a thing. And then she asked, I did a short interview with her, but she asked if she could be the person to break our casting announcement. And I don't know that they had even considered doing a casting announcement. But that, I think, was maybe the beginning. I know that's when Melissa Bernstein looked at me and she goes, "I think the Kettlemans, this is the year of the Kettlemans. I think the Kettlemans are going to be a thing." So, but I don't know. I certainly hadn't considered it. I don't know that the show had necessarily considered it before then. We were all just trying to make a TV show. Like not everybody thought it was a good idea to do a Breaking Bad prequel, like everybody was just trying to survive the first season, right? Just trying to make something as good as possible that would be acceptable out in the world. Yeah.
And look where it's come.
Whew.
It's insane.
Whew.
It is, and I see your fans online. I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
I love the Kettleheads. They're so sweet and lovely. I love them so much.
They're big time supportive. I mean, there's a lot of love. There's no doubt about it. I just love reading the comments and seeing the memes that people make, and it's good.
Yeah, the art that people make.
Nice. It makes my heart so happy. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll live forever.
In the cesspool, it can sometimes be the internet. Thank you for being a bright spot.
Yes, we need that. We need a little bit of a bright spot. Yeah, we do for sure.
The Kettlemans are criminals, but there's something nice about them.
Lovable. They're lovable. Lovable criminals. Lovable. Yes. That's right. Well, before we wrap up, we just have one more minute here as well, too. A lot of people anticipated, well, Craig went to jail, obviously, but I mean, if the Kettlemans continue their ways, they might end up in jail. But let's talk about another character just for a moment. This is just hypothesizing. I know neither of you know advanced scripts and what's going on. A lot of times you don't even know until almost before shooting you what's going to happen to your character, and the same with a lot of other characters as well, too. But there's a lot of fan theories that because a lot of people don't think Kim's going to die, and I certainly don't want to see Kim die. One of my theories is that we will see her behind bars, especially what's happened as of late. I'm curious, just as a fan, for either of you, we'll start with Julianne first. What do you foresee, or would you hope for, or whatever, for the future or fate of Kim Wexler?
It's hard for me because we were there for season 1, we really became friends with everybody, right? So it's hard for me to separate a fan theory for Kim from Ray. So I want to see Ray there all the way to the very end. I think she's brilliant on the show. She deserves an Emmy. I think she has brought so many layers to Kim that I don't want to see that end. But I will say this. I think Kim is, well, I think Mike said it, in episode 4 this season, she's made of sterner stuff than anybody thought. Like, I think if you're worried about her, you might be looking in the wrong place. I know nothing. I know zero amounts of zero about any of it. But I just think I don't know. I think she's interesting. And, I think these writers don't like to be predictable. Mm-hmm. And during season 1, everyone was going, oh, Kim Wexler's going to die because she's not around. So I don't know that I think whatever happens, it will be surprising and shocking.
And I just talked about this over on Pete Pepper's show the other night on his channel, and there's been 2 major deaths already.
Oh my God, Patrick, Howard Hamlin's death was shocking to me.
That was
absolutely
incredible.
Shocking. Yeah,
that was insane.
Yeah, I watched.
I couldn't believe they did it. I was shocked, like absolutely flabbergasted. Frankly, I was surprised that Nacho was gone in episode 3.
I know.
Like I could see Nacho getting killed this season, but I did not predict it so early. So I think whatever you think is going to happen is probably not how it's going to go down.
Sleight of hand, smoke and mirror, something, misdirection, right? Yeah. And Jeremy, your thoughts as well too. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I actually think, I think about it because I started watching Breaking Bad again when I was up in Toronto shooting something, and I was just in the hotel and I was like, I'm going to start watching Breaking Bad because, as Better Call Saul is starting to come to an end, I want to see how it's going to
transition,
everyone is, how it's going to like feather in,
Yeah.
So I wanted to just sort of be reminded. And by the time when Saul comes in, he does seem sort of single. And so I was sort of wondering, but I wonder if there's a way that.
But he talks about his ex in Breaking Bad, right? He doesn't talk about.
He says he has 2 ex-wives.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't
know either, but the Kettlemans aren't in Breaking. There's a lot of characters that are in Better Call Saul that are not in Breaking Bad that are not necessarily dead during that.
No. I don't think she's going to die.
No, I don't think so either. I hope, as you guys especially too. I mean, being friends, obviously, you really want to see that go all the way through. But I don't think so. They've already killed 2 major characters. I mean, no one has plot armor other than Bob Odenkirk himself. I mean, Saul Goodman, Jimmy McGill. I mean, he has to be there, right? But
I'd like to see Kim show up in Omaha.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, and we're going to be there sooner than we think. I mean, everyone's complaining it's going to be to July 11th, whenever it starts again. It seems like it's forever, but it's going to be here fast, and we're going to be done again.
It's going to be here in 5 weeks?
I know.
And then these 7 episodes went by in a minute.
They did.
Just in a heartbeat.
I know.
I think the same is going to be true of the final 6.
Especially because they're going to be the final one, so it's going to go really fast. And
I know. I asked this question the other night on the show, and I've asked this a couple times. Do you guys ever watch anything? I mean, not just Better Call Saul, but any of the things that you've been in, or just shows that you like. Do you ever pause it to see how much time is left in the episode? I'm curious if you do that.
Sure.
Do you do that?
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you hope that there's more than there is.
Yeah, so you got like, you see this little line left, you're like, oh no, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the sign. It's a sign of really good writing, right? It's a sign of good filmmaking.
Good. I'm glad I asked you guys that. I'm glad that you both do it, because I do it and then I get mad sometimes. It's like, oh no, because then there's either a cliffhanger or else the episode with Howard that I did that night. I paused for a second and I was like, oh my God, like what's going to happen here? And then that I watched that scene back, just the last like milliseconds of it, about 20 times, and each single time I saw it, I was just as shocked, if not more.
Right.
It's really well done, and Tom did a great job directing it. I mean, it was really well put together.
Incredible.
Lovely
Incredible.
way. But this goes to something we talked about on the Insider podcast with Vince. Like, I really thought the Kettleman's appearance in episode 2 was going to leak before it came out, and it didn't really. I mean, there might have been like a little drip, but it didn't really. And I was shocked that they were able to keep that secret, and like my team wasn't necessarily thrilled with that decision for them to keep us under wraps, but it was absolutely the right thing to do, because I was on Twitter that night and the excitement that happened when we showed up was huge. And I think that's going to be true over and over again in the upcoming episodes, that the excitement of who's going to show up. So don't spoiler it for people if you can help it.
No, for sure.
Don't. And I think we want to know things. We think we want that episode to last longer, but in a storytelling way, if it lasted longer, it wouldn't be as tense. Like when you hit that pause button, you're like, oh, there's only 2 minutes left. But if there was half an hour left, it would be a different kind of storytelling, right? So like, I think sometimes, I think Vince and Peter are very wise about knowing the difference between what fans say they want and what they actually want. Like, they want to be surprised, right? They want to be shocked. They don't want to actually know. So, if you can help it, don't spoiler stuff, right?
Agree.
I agree.
That's my public service announcement.
I agree 100% on that too. It's like sometimes you want to know, and then you find out and you're just devastated. So experience it in the real world, the real time, like all of us do. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, listen, we are at the 10 o'clock hour, just a little bit past. I want to thank both of you again. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I want to thank you both. It's been wonderful to catch up with you. I always look forward to it. You guys are just the best to talk to, and you've been very supportive of everything I do here, and we do, our team here. Thank you so much. It's been fantastic.
Thank you for having us back. Thank you for having us back as us.
Yes. Yeah. I know no pressure this time. And I know we can always jump into Betsy and Craig, in character, but it's nice to have you back as you. Big fans of everything that you do. And either of you coming back up the Toronto way? Jeremy, you said you were filming in Toronto. Anything up this way in the remainder of this year?
No.
Nothing, eh?
No.
Staying down here.
I was in Toronto for 6 months last year.
Okay.
Yeah, but and that'll be coming out soon. But
good.
Yeah, I love Toronto. Toronto in the summer is just amazing. It's so gorgeous. I think we arrived the 1st of May, and we were there for 6 months, and it was beautiful.
Oh, fantastic!
So bought bikes, rode by the lake all the time. It was great.
Good. It is beautiful. That's where my better half is located in the GTA up there. I love it. I frequent there a lot, so it's beautiful. Yeah. Getting very, very nice. Well, I just want to say a big thank you, obviously, to both of you and to our show sponsors, Warren, Rachel, and everyone at bobbleheads.com. They make those cool bobbleheads. You can see somewhere back behind me here. Those are very, very cool. It'd be very nice to see a Betsy and Craig. That'd be very cool. Yeah.
I mean, if that happened, I would shell out some cash for that.
I was going to say, I would support it.
I would shell out some real cash for that. Yeah.
Well, there's a bag of money laying around here somewhere.
I mean, maybe I did make off with a duffel bag. Maybe.
So, Warren, if you're listening, which I know you are, Betsy and Craig, I'm thinking that would look pretty good in the shop. Bobbleheads.com, I think would be great. I want to thank Karina, our co-executive producer, and all her fantastic moderator team, Jen, Renata, and Eamon. Thank you so much for everything that you could do to make this show happen. And thanks to our subscribers. If you're new here, just tuning in tonight, please consider hitting that subscribe button down below, and we will work just as hard to keep you as a subscriber as we did to get you. And I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend and be safe out there. And we'll look forward to seeing you next Friday night right here at Inside the Gilliverse. And we'll say goodbye to Julianne and Jeremy. And guys, I'll say goodbye to you off the air. All right, we'll say goodbye to you off the air. Everyone, talk to you soon. Cheers.
Thanks again for tuning into Inside the Gilliverse with Eric Broadbent. Be sure to check back each week for more great discussions and interviews with cast and crew from Breaking Bad, El Camino, and Better Call Saul. Please like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends.